every single year, which I think is amazing. Those little rodent dudes, they can pass over 20 diseases to human beings. So by having him out there taking care of them, we don't have to deal with it. So let's talk about how he finds them. So first, I'll tell them. This heart-shaped face isn't just to be pretty. It's actually working like a satellite dish for him. Sound from his environment is being funneled straight to his ears. But instead of being side by side like ours, he has an ear canal above his jawline and an ear canal below his jawline. That lets owls hear what's above them, what's below them. Some triangulation happens, and they know exactly where to look for their food. That's super important because owls are the only animal in all of the animal kingdom to have 100% binocular vision, which means Sugarcane can only see what's directly in front of him. His eyeballs, they're actually not eyeballs at all. They're spherical or cone-shaped, and they go back into his head. They take up about 2/3 of his skull and are actually so powerful, it would be like if me or you could read a newspaper across a football field. Crazy. But they have an adaptation to help with this whole binocular vision thing. Sugarcane, as an owl, has 14 cervical vertebrae, or 14 neck bones, and that lets him turn his head 270 degrees so that he can see everything in his environment. Us as mammals, we get 7 bones in our neck, whether we're a giraffe, a blue whale, or a skunk, all 7. But turning their head 270 degrees is super to them, but Sugarcane can't do that. And we'll talk a little bit about his injury and why he's here with us. But I gotta comment on these feet first. So you'll notice Sugarcane does not have any hands. So when it's time to pick up that little rat, that's where these fancy feet come in. Sugarcane has zygodactyl as an owl. That means he's got 2 toes in the front, 2 toes in the back. They're X-shaped. And actually, these owls are stronger than other birds of prey comparatively to their size. Sugarcane only weighs 1 pound, everybody. But he has over 200 pounds of gripping pressure in these tiny little feet. Us, as humans, we get 40 to 77 pounds in our big adult hands. Not so scary. Yes, what's your question?
That's a great question. So usually people say that because the head of a snake is in a triangle, that means it's venomous. That's not, it's not necessarily true. There's a lot of factors to it. Honestly, I wouldn't go identifying a venomous snake on my own. I don't advise anybody else. So typically, a lot of people say through the face, and it's because some of these venomous snakes do have larger areas in the back of their cheek to store venom. So that can be a possible thing, but then we have snakes that can flatten their heads and shapeshift, sort of like their heads, to look like a venomous snake to another wild animal, including us, right? Because we're still animals at the end of the day. So if let's say they can pretty much, the way they move their head is by expelling the air and flattening their bodies. And then when they take in more air, they get a little bit more round, is what you can tell. But yeah, you really just gotta know the idea of the snake, like. Okay, so all snakes can rattle their tails. They can wiggle them to be alert, like, hey, I feel a little scared right now. All snakes can do that. But most snakes that have a round tip of a face, it's narrow, they're usually non-venomous. Venomous ones in the water, they swim on top of the water. So if you see a snake and it's by the water and it's floating, that's a venomous snake. But constrictors, they go underneath the water. They submerge. All right, guys? Perhaps they can choose a nesting territory often. And then, yeah, because they know it's a safe place probably. That's why they choose to nest in backyards. Yeah, don't feed wildlife. All right, guys, let's give it up for Firework. He did great. Please come to me on my award hands. Are there any more questions before I take them over?
Threatened or stressed in the wild, she would do that and then pop up into a handstand to aim to send this oily sulfur-based solution into the face of her predator. That's the whole point to it. It's not just stinky. It gets in their eyes, it gets in their nose. Temporarily, this predator cannot see or smell, and that's all it is. This lady gets a chance to run away. Pepper can actually run up to 10 miles an hour. Very fast, twice as fast as near you. You get 5-6 miles an hour on average. I don't know if I feel like some of you guys saw us out on the tram trail during our daily run today. And that's the thing, she just takes off. It's incredible. But Pepper here cannot spray any of us. You've probably put that together by now. This lady was somebody's pet. And when skunks are going to be living closely to humans, they're taken to the veterinarian and they have their scent glands removed from them. But Pepper was a legal pet. The young man who owned her had her with all of the proper permitting and everything he needed in order to keep her. And they actually went to school together. Pepper lived the college life for a full 2 years. And it's one of the reasons I do have such a soft spot for her. This girl was loved for that entire time. It was once this young man finished his degree and had to move back to his parents' house that his parents realized, as cute as she is, she's an awful pet. And I hate to tell you guys that because really, all of the things that make her an amazing skunk make her a really bad house pet. So we'll talk a little bit about it. But what I was going to tell you guys about the burrows is they're solitary animals. That ties into my next point. So they generally don't live with other skunks. Pepper, she's pretty much litter box trained now. But every time she's done pooping, she takes this lovely little behind and she smears it all over the ground for us. Every single time. She also lets out spritzes of urine everywhere she goes. She's marking her area. She's letting all of these other skunks know this is Pepper's house, don't mess with it. Important when you're a solitary animal, but here in captivity we do a lot of cleaning. Also, this lady is extremely destructive if she has nothing to do. She would generally walk over 5 kilometers a night just looking for food in the wild. So you have to do something with all of that energy. If not, she will try to dig a 12-foot hole through your linoleum. It's just what happens. She's very, very destructive. But this is the thing, guys. She's not just going to turn into a dog or cat because you decide to pick her up at the pet store. And there's no shelter you can drop them off at when you decide you don't want them anymore. So this is your general PSA. They're doing fantastic jobs out in our environment, but please do not pick one up at the pet store on the way home.